Hello, me again. What up, everybody? This is Flash Notion, the Ponified Talking Head, back with another reaction video. And today we're going to be reacting to Season 8, Episode 16 of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, titled, I do believe the title is Friendship Academy. And the thumbnail that I've seen for this one, I believe, is the one, the Flim and Flam plus Chancellor Naysayer thumbnail, which, very interesting there. Prediction from that is that Naysayer goes to Flim and Flam and and the two of between them, they open up a rival academy to Twilight's that does everything the EEA way, which sucks, but whatever. So yeah, that's that prediction. However, the very first little image here that comes up when I pulled up the episode to watch is Star Swirl. We're getting the pillars! Yay! That's another thing I can check off my checklist. I forgot to mention that in the last one. Speaking of which, I haven't even gotten those out yet. Dang it. I gotta edit those and upload those still. I'm behind a little bit here on that. I have no excuse. I just ignored it. So yeah, Stygian or Pillars makes an appearance, and I get bingo! Yay! And Flim and Flam episode, I can cross that one off. Yay! There's a whole bunch of stuff here that we haven't been able to cross off yet, but hey, whatever. Yeah, I don't know what Star Swirl's involvement's going to be, but we'll find out. And we'll find out very quickly because I don't have anything else to say. We'll just start the episode in 3, 2, 1, play.
Dear Twilight,
Oh.
it is difficult to express how grateful I am to you for teaching me the power of friendship.
Oh.
You would think after more than 1,000
Oh.
years, there would
That's
be nothing left to learn.
well done, Star Swirl.
Yet,
He's living out his golden years.
as old as I
Oh, hey, tree hugger.
continue to be surprised by how much there is to know.
Nice. Oh, that's... yeah.
I hope you
Aw.
find these cards enjoyable, and I look forward to seeing you again. Though I can't say when my journey will
Aww.
be complete. Your friend, Star Swirl.
This is all very cute. Holy crap.
Gratifying to have your idol writing to you about the friendship lessons he's learning.
I'm not sure I'll ever get used to it. Of course, if he really wants to learn about friendship, he
went to
our school.
Griffinstone at one point.
Professor Sparkle, the mail pony just came with a few things. The sewing machines I ordered for my class.
Are you sure about that, Rarity?
These came too. I wasn't sure what to make of them.
Thanks, Cozy Glow. Glad you're getting more of a
These
role.
machines were costly, but I am quite certain the friendship lessons I can teach my students with them will be invaluable.
Please tell me you're not just sweatshop working them and
Darling.
that face.
And I didn't use the school funds to buy these. I made the
Oh,
purchase
okay.
entirely with my own bits.
It's not
That's
that.
good.
It's this.
Why waste your time at a friendship school that's just a school? Learn everything they teach and more at Friendship University.
Ah. I mean, what? What? I mean, yeah, obviously Twilight School doesn't teach like the things that you would learn at Cheerilee's class, but that's kind of the point, isn't it? Like, Cheerilee's class doesn't teach you the friendship stuff. It's like having a school specifically for ethics, which would be a nice thing in this world, but whatever. Obviously, yeah, Naysayer and Flim and Flam are doing this, kind of pulling this crap. I don't know what Star Swirl's gonna...
Who would open
Is
another
he gonna have a
friendship school?
bigger
I'm sure
role
it's
in it?
nothing to worry about. You're the princess of friendship.
Don't recognize... I mean, I kind of recognize those
It isn't
names,
just
but...
another friendship school. It's a university.
What the hell is the difference?
The same lessons of competing schools in half the time. That's twice the learning.
And it's in Las Pegasus? If Professor Rarity lets us skip
Oh,
swing
dear
class.
Lord.
Road trip!
I think we need to look into this. I don't like to judge solely on appearances, but what kind of friendship school is this?
It's in Las Pegasus. What the hell do you
In the
think?
West, and maybe all of Equestria.
I mean, really, it's in Las Pegasus. Who do you think Twilight
Bullies in here
is
than at our whole school.
opening?
Running this place.
Who do you think, Twilight?
Welcome, friends. You are about to embark on a journey of amazing.
Oh, this is
One that will change
painful, kind of.
forever.
Like, I wanted an episode with them, but
Embrace a new path and become students of Friendship U.
Flim and Flam.
Friends, we understand
just the...
your plight.
Oh, God, no. No, not again.
Friendships could take flight.
There is a school real far away that'll teach you what to know. But if you live here, you couldn't stay.
You'd learn you have to go.
Now there is an alternative to all of that adversity.
Not just a school, I'll have you know, but
a whole university. At Friendship U, our aim is true.
I mean,
The city, not some backwater. You'll learn the things you need to know at our new alma mater. That's it, every pony. You heard correct. Friendship U, the
every time...
As you can see, we're a success by any kind of stat.
That may be so, for all I know, but I still smell a rat.
Every pony
Eh.
hear that other schools had mare. The presence is a testament to the mutual respect we share.
I'm pretty sure that's not a...
No, it isn't.
I mean,
Final piece to make our work complete.
To have the friendship princess bless our school is such a treat. We're so awesome
I don't...
at Friendship U. We teach
I mean, she's clearly not blessing it. She looks very put off.
You'll learn it all in half the time and the one and only
What?
How can any pony learn friendship in half the time?
Our coursework is so accelerated to take longer and be a climb.
The lessons that we teach have been reviewed and checked and edited,
Which might explain why our new school's about to be
accredited at Friendship U.
Ah.
Oh yes, it's true. Even the
So, did they come up with this scheme by themselves, or did
place in Equestria to give out friendship.
Naysayer come up with it? I don't know yet. But I'm kind of feeling like maybe Starlight would have been a better fit for here. Like, she would interrupt and just be like, "Hold up, I recognize some crowd mentality going on here. You guys are really working the crowd." Oh my god. Look at Rarity's face.
We know what it means, but who would accredit this place?
Why, the EEA, of course.
I mean, who else?
Chancellor Nate.
Seriously.
The Equestria Educational Association has taken an interest in institutions that teach friendship in a pony-first environment. Surely you didn't think your school has a monopoly on the concept?
Well,
did right to
she
look
is
on it.
the
Yes.
princess
How
of
to
friendship.
teach friendship to creatures who will one day use it as a weapon against us.
That makes literally no sense.
You tell me, it's your book. Meantime, this university appears to be a promising option for ponies who prefer to stick to the EEA book on the subject.
You can't be serious. They're obviously up to something. It's Flim and Flam.
That certainly wasn't friendly.
One would think the head mayor of a school of friendship, albeit an unaccredited
Well,
one,
you know,
would behave
here's a good
differently.
Thought.
Unless
Like,
she was trying to undermine.
Flim and Flam are kind of underhanded, definitely, but they're not really deserving of
I am not.
not necessarily
I
that
think the princess of
attitude.
friendship would be friendlier.
Now, fillies and gentle courts,
Like,
let's show the princess
obviously-
how friendly we are
campers signing up for some classes.
They're not... How can I put this? Like, they're jackasses, definitely, but they're not evil. So,
Why
like...
don't I show you around?
I'm sorry, but approval from the EEA won't convince me that this school is what you promise.
And what would it take to convince you?
I don't know.
Well,
Well, here's a thought, Twilight. Why are you even trying? Like, you have your own school.
Some pony
Just
like
make sure your school is...
this? Twilight?
Oh.
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 Star Swirl? What are you doing here?
Why, studying friendship at FiM Flam's wonderful school.
Oh, please. I think I know a disguise when I see one. Take off that ridiculous beard. Flam!
Rarity?
How's it going in here?
It's really me.
I'd heard rumors you'd returned, but I didn't believe it until now. And if a pony of your stature is studying here, there really isn't anything else I need to see. I, Chancellor Naysay, hereby confer
Star Swirl,
on
this
Friendship
jackass is
University
pretty much like how you used to be,
an
only
unreserved
worse.
EEA accreditation.
Is
I don't
accreditation
understand.
actually a word?
Why would you come here and not my school?
My travels brought me to Los Pegasus. I didn't come for the school, but FiM Flam convinced me to try it out.
Of course they
Can't
did.
trust FiM and Flam. They tried to con the apples out of their farm. They sold fake health tonic. They run a resort in Las Pegasus.
Technically, our resort is a legitimate business.
That is
I
true.
spent 1,000
That is
years
true.
thinking the worst of a bad pony. You taught me to look for the best in him, whatever FiM Flam's past may be. Starting this school shows they want to change for the better.
Does it though? I mean, maybe.
Believe that.
But
Besides, what's untrustworthy about opening a school of friendship? They don't even charge for classes.
I don't know, but I know they're up to something. And until I find out, I'm begging you, come to my school instead.
I understand feeling threatened by competition, but my
Do you?
word, Princess, I wonder if the ill manners of the creatures at your school aren't contagious. I think I will take my leave before I become infected.
God, that guy's a jackass.
I promise
But-
I'll visit your school soon. But for now, perhaps it's best if you return there.
I mean, why not stay a little while and like maybe sit in on some classes, see if FiM and Flam are actually doing things right. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe they're just like the EEA accredited version that just nobody likes.
Threatened by the competition.
Only if we do it as ourselves.
Oh, dear Lord. Rarity, what are you?
In these disguises, we could pass as students at our own school.
I don't know, Rarity.
Say about using our real names?
Seriously?
Plainity. But I'm pretty sure
What
this
the
is a
heck?
disguise.
Hey, strangers! Are you two new here?
We sure are. Completely new.
Great! See you
I-
in class!
I want to put my head through a wall right now.
Spade to know the key to going undercover is rehearsing your backstory. I'm Plainity, and I love
That's not how it-
stuff.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works. I have to pause for a moment here.
My name's Eye Patch. I have an eye patch.
Alright. I'm at 12 minutes in and I gotta pause. Okay. While I'm paused for the moment, I feel like this would be a good opportunity to talk about the what I was trying to say with FiM and Flam. Like, yeah, they've done some very questionable, underhanded things. In their first episode, they sacrificed quality for quantity and tried to sell a product that was really bad. But it was still a product, and if they'd stuck to quality over quantity, then they would have been fine, or if they balanced the two out. In their second appearance, they were complete snake oil salesmen, and they were selling a product that didn't actually exist. But then in their third appearance there in season 6, they were, well, they'd gone legitimate, basically. They were working legitimate jobs, and they ended up having a legitimate business that they still work at, basically, or they still run. They still run the casino and the hotel, or whatever the heck you want to call it there. So, the resort, that's what they were calling it. So, I mean, I do think they deserve the benefit of the doubt. They're underhanded, but they're not. Well, 2 out of 3 appearances, they've actually had a product. So, it's not that Twilight has a reason to be suspicious, definitely. Flim and Flam's track record is against them. They've not always been good ponies. I mean, they've never really been good ponies, but they're not bad ponies. Like, Stygian, as the Pony of Shadows, was definitely a bad pony. But Flim and Flam aren't really like that, and they're not really like Naysayer or even, God, what was his name there? Frickin' Countess Coloratura's guy there, manager. What was his name? Sven Gallop. They're not even like him. Flim and Flam, as far as I can remember, they've never been unnecessarily cruel. Manipulative, yes, obviously. But they've never been like the other ponies that are bad. So, even though Twilight has a reason to be suspicious, she should also maybe keep those suspicions to herself on the down low and maybe just let them do what they do for a while. You know? I mean, obviously this tactic of going undercover at their school is kind of also underhanded. I mean, there's no real reason why they shouldn't be allowed to just walk over and sit in on a class or something, especially if the classes are free. I mean, maybe there's a thing against that in the real world, like if you work at a different college or university, you can't go to a fellow teacher at a different college and sit in on their class and see how they teach. But I feel like it should be allowed here in this case, or in any case, really. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed to, like, it should be kind of like a professional courtesy thing, you know, so that way you can stay up to date and whatnot, and maybe see if there's a technique that you aren't aware of for teaching. Like, that just seems like a common sense thing to me. So I'm not really sure why they have to go down this route, other than it's a kids show and they got to fill up the time. But yeah, it definitely feels weird. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that little bit there. We'll see how it shakes out, though. Maybe Flim and Flam do deserve the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they don't. Maybe they really are up to something. Maybe they just want to stick it to Twilight. Maybe Naysayer put them up to it. I don't know. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with having multiple schools for the same subject. I mean, Equestria is actually a fairly big place. And, I mean, as we saw, for the holidays, you know, you have to shut down and all your students have to go all the way back to their homes. That's a pretty big deal. Like, a lot of them live far away. Some of them don't even live in Ponyville. So, yeah. I mean, the school apparently has dorms, so the students can stay there, but maybe it would be easier if there was a school in every equestrian town or city or whatever, so that way ponies could go while they're closer to home. Just would make sense, wouldn't it? Of course, if they all want EEA accreditation or whatever, that's not going to be easy. I feel like I do feel like there's something suspicious, though, in the fact that Flim and Flam aren't charging for school entrance to the school. That does raise an alarm bell there, because they're all about the profits. So if they're opening this school and letting people in for free, that feels a bit odd, unless they're doing a corner the market on everything around it type deal, where it's like, oh yeah, you can go to the school for free, and while you're here you can only use Flim and Flam approved books sold at a Flim and Flam approved store, which Flim and Flam own and therefore take all the profits from. And you have to buy all your meals, which are from Flim and Flam owned and approved restaurants and stuff like that. That would be a good way to make money. Very underhanded, though. I mean, technically nothing wrong with it, just very underhanded. So, yeah. I don't know, though. Also, Rarity's look here, generic teenager thing, I mean, we just saw that with Discord. It's not anything special, and Twilight's so-called disguise is absolutely atrocious, but whatever. Let's just get through this, please. And restarting at 12 minutes in 3, 2, 1, play.
Start our investigation.
I
think we should split up.
No, never split up.
I'll look around and see what I can find, assuming I'm not recognized.
I don't think you'll have a problem, Twilight. Ponies are stupid.
Let's start right in, shall we? One of the most important elements of friendship is being thoughtful. True or false?
If by thoughtful you mean generous, I'd say true.
Correct! It was a trick question. Very impressive, Ms.
Plainity.
Well,
Huh.
Ms. Plainity. Keep it up and you'll be
I mean-
for our next level in no time. Now, let's see if
She's
we can
getting
straight for the class.
sucked
What's
in.
something generous you could do for me right now?
Oh. Okay. I mean, this is...
Class, Plainity here is now my star pupil. If any of you want a chance at studying with Star Swirl, I'd take notes on her every action.
Huh. Rarity, don't get suckered in. I mean, obviously they're exploiting
The door's
you.
open, so I'll just assume it's okay to come in and look around. Unless some pony says it's not.
Yeah.
Alright then.
I mean, door's open. Don't shut the door, Twilight. Just leave it open.
Element of laughter and its applications. Okay, that seems pretty genuine. When to support your friends' decisions and when to talk sense. That's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Friendship University's true goal is to help friends become better friends. Where's the proof that it's all a scam?
There isn't any.
Twilight Sparkle! Did you really think an eye patch was enough of a disguise?
No, I didn't.
Well, then, we agree that everybody will recognize the Princess of Friendship in this photo of you sneaking into our office.
Don't
I can see
blackmail her.
Princess of Jealousy. So I
That face, though.
So sad. A news story like that would destroy your reputation. No pony will want to go to your school after that.
Okay, that's just mean. That's just mean.
Just wait until the
Twilight, just admit that they're actually, seem pretty good and that you're okay with them, and that way they'll just let you go.
Well, gentle ponies, I finished another stack. The lessons in these worksheets are quite fascinating. Twilight, what's going on here?
go just your protege getting caught snooping in our office in disguise. Well, sort of.
Oh, honestly, Princess Twilight, envy does not look good on you.
I'm not envious. I know these two are up to something. I'm just trying to find out what.
The only pony I see who's up to something is the pony in this picture, and it is not the princess I know.
He's got a point. You are acting very unbecoming of yourself, Twilight.
Equestrian knows.
Unless...
Right, so I was just interrupted again. So we're going to be going back a little bit and restarting at 15 minutes and 20 seconds in, and restarting in 3, 2, 1,
Not
play.
the princess I know.
Well, it's about to be the princess all of Equestrian knows.
This just...
You decided to drop
Everybody feels slimy in this situation.
Then we'll rip this silly picture up and not let it completely and utterly ruin you and your school.
You can be generous with all sorts of things. Gifts, compliments, your time.
I mean,
Hey, eye patch! Where's your eye patch? Was your cover blown?
yeah.
Flim and Flam took a picture of me sneaking into their office.
Were we wearing our eye patch?
If I don't stop investigating, they're
Rarity,
gonna tell every
you're
pony that I'm
not-
trying to sabotage their school because I'm jealous.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know.
Somebody needs to remix
I'm
that.
just upset that Stars World came here instead of my school. Flim and Flam may have turned over a new leaf. We should probably just...
Maybe? I mean, the fact they tried to blackmail you is definitely not proving that, but, like...
If you think Flim and Flam are up to no good, you can't give up. Lessons really are impressive.
Wait, what?
Which reminds me, can you get a message to Spike? I want to return those sewing machines. I need the bits if I'm going to keep advancing here. Tuition's free, but the worksheets sure aren't.
Wait, what?
Flim and Flam are charging for these?
Well, they have to cover expenses, and Flam insists that everything extra goes to improving the school and... This is the scam, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's find out.
These lessons are so valuable. Are you sure I can't give you more?
Unnecessary. Being able to share them with a pony like you is our real...
I mean, technically it's not...
Oh my, and you want to study alongside Star Swirl?
It's all I have.
Come back for the rest when you can afford it.
Oh, wait! I'll sell the shirt off my back.
Really?
The kind of determination that'll get you to the next level. Student whose name I know.
Of course. That's ridiculous.
Go with the investigation. Think of your reputation.
My reputation isn't worth much if I won't risk it for what I think is right. Besides, I have a plan.
I would have liked it better if they hadn't been up to something. Actually, just like... Really? How big of a vault do they have? Also, what the heck? Wow.
Well, brother of mine, we've got almost all the bits we need to expand our resort. If we add another level of classes and worksheets, we'll be there.
Maybe we should add 2 levels, just to be safe.
It's a thing of beauty. But I was thinking, what if we added another extreme pool slide here?
Sure, as long as
Of
the pipes
course.
and the musical chocolate fountain go through here.
But shouldn't it go closer to the pudding hot tub? Here?
A fair point, but
Eh.
what?
I knew your school was a scam.
Well, well, well. If it isn't the Princess of Jealousy, I guess we'll be going to the papers after all.
I mean, she can record stuff with her horn,
Just put
so...
your students into this secret room of bits and resort expansion plans.
Let's not get hasty. You have something on us, we have something on you.
I mean, except for the fact that
Even.
what you have on her is
You
not...
can destroy my reputation if you want, but using your students' bits to expand your resort is wrong, even if the lessons you teach are good ones.
Of course they're good. We copied them from your book.
We just skipped every other page. All the lessons have the time.
That's
Fine.
not how it
If
works.
you really want to call it even, give back the bits and stop charging for my lessons. Then you can teach them as much as you like.
Nah, running a school is more work than we thought. Besides, we almost have everything we need.
I think not.
Plainity? My star pupil?
Not plainity, but rarity.
Who?
Oh my
I
god.
decided to bring some pony else here to listen to everything you just said.
Oh dear.
Hey, Star Swirl. We were just about to...
Return the bits you've collected from your students and close your school?
Yeah, that.
I mean, technically, they don't have to return them. I mean, the students gave them over willingly, mostly.
It seems I'll
And-
never stop learning from your example, Twilight.
No!
Valuable lesson to stand up for what you know is true. I wish I had known it too.
No!
Thanks for
No!
returning our
No!
But how are we going to learn about friendship now?
I mean,
Well, I can refer you to a fairly reputable establishment outside of Ponyville. I'm quite certain the head mayor would consider letting you in.
I'm also pretty sure they don't charge. At all.
Of course, if I ever go to a school again, I'll make sure it's yours. In friendship, Star Swirl.
I still don't understand how Flim and Flam could have gotten a copy of your book.
I finished straightening up in the library. Professor Rarity, I just wanted to make sure you're definitely keeping these.
But of course, darling. If there's one thing I learned at Friendship University, it is not to give up when you know what's right. And I know teaching friendship
That's a good
through
point.
sewing
How did they
is
get a
right.
copy?
I just need to figure out how.
They brought in Cozy Glow right there specifically. Right there specifically. Wait, is Cozy Glow related to Naysayer? Why do I feel like that's a thing? I feel like that's gonna be a thing. I feel like she's gonna be like his niece or something. That would make a ton of sense. Okay, every pony, I'm re-recording my thoughts on this episode. Simply because I went and I watched Rarity Dash's reaction, and I realized that my thoughts were not stated clearly or concisely in any kind of way, and it would be better for me to re-record my thoughts and to explain myself properly rather than just leaving it kind of ambiguous. So here's the thing. This episode does have a few good points, but I do not like it. And you are free to like it yourself, but I also think that from an objective standpoint, it is not a good episode. There's nothing wrong with liking an episode that is not a good episode, but I do feel it is important to discuss why it is not a good episode. So, real quickly, just going back over the episode itself and what happened in the episode. The opening with Star Swirl is one of my favorite parts. It showcased Star Swirl and what he's been up to, and how he's learning friendship and possibly making new friends, and telling Twilight about all this in a similar way to how Twilight would tell Celestia about her own lessons learned, actually. I'm just now thinking of that, only with postcards instead of, dragon letters. Which, that's all a very cool thing. I'm pretty sure that somebody could write an entire video essay about that in and of itself. But, just in terms of this episode, it is a very small part, and one of the best parts, because it has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the plot. By itself, it is a good moment. After that, we cut over to the friendship school, and we get Cozy Glow again, which I'm pretty sure just her presence all around is just foreshadowing something. I'm very much sure that she is a plant for Naysayer in some way. I'm not the only one who thinks that either. Looking in the comments section, of the video, there are a number of people who apparently think that. So, I feel like I'm on the right track. But she appears, and she's the one who actually gives them the flyers, and at which point they learn about Flim and Flam's school, although they don't know it's a Flim and Flam school, which still just makes me want to drill a hole in my forehead just a little bit, because, like, how do you not realize that it's in Las Pegasus, and there's, just... I know ponies can be dumb sometimes, but I would rather our protagonists not be dumb. Whatever. After that, everything is actually still pretty decent at this point. The setup is there, and it's decent, and I don't really care for the song. It's okay. I still think that Flim and Flam's first song is their best. It's just that much more upbeat than both of these combined. I mean, cider, 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 cider. You know, you want to sing along to it. Super speedy cider squeezy 6000 there. You know? But it's an okay song. And then things start getting just not very good. It's hard to describe it, but pretty much as soon as Twilight started accusing Flim and Flam, like, yeah, her initial suspicions were, like, something that she should have had, but as soon as she started just outright accusing them out loud in front of everyone, that started rubbing me the wrong way. I still feel like Flim and Flam have earned a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Like, they're never not going to be underhanded about stuff. Obviously, they're in it to make a profit, but they do deserve a chance. And Twilight wasn't even giving them a chance. And I can understand, you know, one, like, it was a fool me once, fool me twice, but the third time they definitely didn't fool them, and I feel like Twilight should have heard about that and should have heard that, okay, they've kind of gone legitimate now. So she kind of owed them another chance. And she didn't give it to them. And I feel like Applejack would have given them that chance. I feel like if it was Applejack there instead of Rarity, Applejack would have been like, I don't know, Twilight, let's just leave them be. It'll either blow up in their faces, or we'll have to come back at some point and fix it. But either way, like, they deserve that chance. And I feel like Applejack would have given it to him. Or Fluttershy would have. Fluttershy definitely would have given it to him. So, yeah. But just, it started going downhill there. And the next bit with Star Swirl, I feel like, is where the episode really showed its potential. Because when they got to that part with Star Swirl's like, Twilight, remember you taught me that ponies can earn that ponies deserve a second chance and that they can change. And that's very true. Twilight is the entire reason why Star Swirl is learning friendship now, and I honestly feel like they should have just continued down the path that seemed to be suggested right there, that Flim and Flam had a school friendship, that they were teaching real lessons, and that they were just doing things maybe the EEA way, which maybe isn't the best way, but they were still, you know, trying to do something good. And I feel like that would have just been the better episode. And for Twilight to learn that just being suspicious of somebody, like, she should have already known better than to be just suspicious of everybody. And I truly feel like this was a rehash of the worst element of A Canterlot Wedding, which was the Chrysalis and Twilight being suspicious of her subplot there. Everybody that I've ever seen watch the episode has tended to agree that the way it went down with Twilight being suspicious of Chrysalis and just outright accusing, or I'd say Chrysalis, but Cadence, fake Cadence, but Twilight outright accusing fake Cadence in front of everybody, and just not really having any evidence to back it up was the worst part. And it was similar here. She was basing her opinion of Flim and Flam on things that she'd heard in the past and blatantly ignoring their more positive traits, all for the sake of just shutting down the school, and there wasn't really a reason to shut down the school at that point. Honestly, if she just walked away at that point, I feel like things would have taken care of themselves. Eventually, Flim and Flam would have bled their students dry of all money, and they would have had to reveal the scam at some point, at which point it probably would have blown up in their faces, and at which point the students would start looking elsewhere for friendship school options. And the only one that would really be around is Twilight's. So, yeah. That's the thing. Wouldn't have maybe necessarily been a good thing to leave it that way, but hey, it could have been a map mission later on, you know? Or maybe as they turn back, you know, the map maybe as soon as they get back to school after leaving, maybe the map calls them and is like, no, you have to go take care of this. At which point they would have had actual evidence, because the map doesn't just send them anywhere for no reason, unless Discord's involved. Oh, okay, that might complicate things in the future, because they're always going to be suspicious now, like, Discord, is this you're doing? But, no. The point is that Twilight was suspicious of Flim and Flam. She had no evidence at that point to be suspicious. In fact, all evidence was pointing to the contrary. And I feel like things reached a breaking point, or a tipping point, when she went into their office and she found what appeared to be evidence that everything was fine. I feel like at that point, Twilight should have apologized to them and said that she would be leaving and that she wouldn't be investigating anymore, because it seemed like they were doing things right. At which point, that probably would have thrown them for a loop, but that would have actually been the right thing to do, is leave at that point, because all evidence pointed to their school being legitimate. The only thing that kept Twilight around after that point, or like until Rarity actually stumbled upon the scam, was that, like, she was her suspicion, her irrational suspicion of Flim and Flam. And here's the thing also, is that when Rarity came around and revealed the scam, it's actually not a scam. Like, there's nothing really wrong with that. Like, okay, you get the lessons for free, but if you want the credit, you have to pay to get the worksheets. Like, it's not the most ethical business model, but there's nothing wrong with it that I can tell. So, whether or not you agree with that business model, it's not a scam. The scam part is that they said they would be using the bits to improve the school, when in actuality they're going to use the bits to improve their resort. That part is completely unethical in the legal sense. Like, there would be laws against doing that. That's like a kind of fraud or something. So, if Twilight had managed to uncover evidence of that without sneaking around, at that point, yes, she would have been able to shut down the school completely, probably just on the authority of being a princess, and, actually having to uphold the law and whatnot. But up until that point where that was revealed, Flim and Flam were legitimate business people being harassed by a princess of friendship who apparently did think that she needed a monopoly on the subject. Like, Twilight was looking very, very scummy all throughout that, and it doesn't really improve at the end, where it's just like, no, Twilight was right all along. Like, she was kind of right, but she was also kind of not, because if it weren't for that one point there that was deliberately put in there to make Flim and Flam look scummy, the entire plot could have been kind of... What am I saying here? Everything about it pointed to the other direction, that Twilight was wrong, up until that one point. And if it hadn't been for that one point, that part where it's like, okay, they're using the bits for something other than what was intended, even with the fact that they're charging students for the papers, the students are willing to hand over their bits for that. That's their choice. And Twilight isn't responsible for those people's choices. She could advise them that what they're doing with their money is unwise, and that it would be better for them to go to her school, where they can get all of it for free, the lessons and the paperwork and everything, but it's not her responsibility to deal with that, It's the students' choices. And yeah, it was a little bit even more unethical for Flim Flam to not be charging Star Swirl while they're charging everybody else. That's very scummy on their part, but technically still nothing wrong. That's their prerogative. If they want to make Star Swirl not pay, or pay double even, that's their point. And whether or not Star Swirl chooses to accept, or chooses to pay, or chooses not to pay, that's all on him too. And this episode just makes everybody look bad. And that's from an objective standpoint there. Everybody looks bad in this episode. The episode had good concepts, bad execution, and if they'd gone for that twist where it turns out that the Flim Flam were not actually bad guys, which, they're still not bad guys, they're just doing some unethical business practices. They're not evil, at least not in the... They're not evil in the black and white mentality of the show. From a real world standpoint, business people like Flim and Flam are horrible, horrible people. All right, and I would not support them. But they're still not technically doing anything illegal, and that's annoying. But in that case, it's the law that needs to change, not necessarily... obviously those people need to change as well, but they will change with the law. So if you get the law changed, those people will be forced to change. But that's an entirely different discussion than what's going on here. Here, in the context of Equestria, Flim and Flam aren't that bad. They're just in it for the bits. And I'll be honest, in Equestria, the value of a bit is completely arbitrary, it seems. And it just seems that the way Equestria operates is that bits equal IOU notes, more or less. A very ancient form of currency there where it technically doesn't have any real value in that there's no set value for it. It's just whatever somebody decides the value is in the moment. One bit might get you 1 cherry, or it might get you 12 cherries, or whatever, it's up for whatever the people want to sell it for. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of economic regulation in Equestria, and in a lot of cases, people just get what they want, or they just are given what they want. I'm not really sure what sort of economy Equestria has, and I feel like dissecting it would give me a headache, but it doesn't matter. The point is that everyone comes out looking scummy, and the easiest way to have avoided that, to make it not look scummy, would to have been to make Twilight wrong. That would have been the easiest way to go about it, because then she could have learned a lesson, and she still would have kind of looked scummy at the beginning, but by the end of it, everything would have worked out properly. Flim Flam wouldn't have looked scummy, Twilight would have learned a lesson, Star Swirl could have technically been the one to teach her that lesson, maybe, or something. I don't know. It would have been the easiest way to fix my problems with the episode and to make the episode decent, objectively speaking. Now, from a non-objective standpoint, again, it has some parts that are good or even enjoyable. Plainity is honestly a fun concept, and the way it was done, there were a couple of giggles to be had. Most especially just from one particular moment that I can think of is Flim and Flam being like, wait, who is Rarity? They know Plainity, but they don't know Rarity. That's a decent moment of giggling. But on the whole, the humor in the episode was subpar. And I already just went over the entire moral and why I don't think it worked. And just the writing and the character interactions felt a bit less than it really should have. Like, basically, as much as I like Rarity and Plainity in the episode, I kind of would have preferred if it had been literally any of the rest of the main six with Twilight. If it had been Rainbow Dash, her belligerent attitude would have actually worked in favor of continuing the conflict with Flim and Flam. If it had been Pinky, her antics would have made Twilight a bit of a straight man and would have increased the humor tenfold. If it had been Fluttershy, we would have had an easy route to allowing Flim and Flam to, what's the word there? Be the good guys, or at least give them the benefit of the doubt. And if it had been Applejack, we would have had, well, we would have continued the story between Applejack and the Flim and Flam brothers there, and it would have been a nice just continuation of that. I feel like that would have been an okay route as well. But with Rarity being the one that is there, she doesn't really contribute much to it. Like, there's nothing between, like, as funny as that moment is where they don't know Rarity, it also highlights the fact that there's no connection between them and Rarity at all. And to therefore have Rarity be in this episode just kind of makes it seem like somebody was like, well, who haven't we had the Flim Flam brothers interact with much? And the answer is Rarity, but also in that sense, this episode relies so much on the Flim Flam brothers' past interactions with the main six to have it be the person, or to have the pony that they've interacted with least be the one accompanying Twilight, really just brings that down. And I feel like I've gotten off track a little bit there, because I was trying to go from a more non-objective standpoint and be like, well, what is it about this episode that I don't like? The humor, the moral, just the way everything was presented didn't really work for me. And so from an objective standpoint, I feel like the episode botched it just completely. And from a non-objective standpoint, I personally did not enjoy it. Other people might have enjoyed it. I know, like I said, Rarity Dash did, and it seems like some of the people in the comments section did. I personally did not enjoy it, and from an objective standpoint, I think it was a bad episode. So, what we're left with is the worst episode of the season to me, and I'm hoping next week's will be better. And I think that's everything. I don't know if I was clearer or concise, honestly, thinking about it. But I do feel like I stated myself better than what I did in the original recording. So, thank you for listening. I hope that either you enjoyed this episode or that you share my opinion, one or the other. Either way, you had a reason to be here. Do all your stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next episode, which will hopefully be better than this one. So, bye.